and just not exist.
Boy Swallows Universe is a coming-of-age story of its protagonist, Eli Bell, and it's also a coming-of-age story of the city in which it's set, Brisbane.
It's an epic story that's told with a huge amount of heart, with a whole host of larger-than-life characters.
When I was artistic director of Queensland Theatre, Tim McGarry, who's our adapter, actually brought the novel to the company before it was published.
As soon as I read it and I could see it, I could visualise it on stage. And what Trent has done so beautifully is that the characters are so real, they're so authentic, and he's provided for an adapter and a writer an enormous amount of dialogue within the story itself.
Sucks, doesn't it? What? Oh, growing up thinking you were the good guys, when all along you're running with the bad guys. I'm not running with bad guys.
So as soon as I read it, I knew it was absolutely dead right for the stage. It was dramatic, it was passionate, it was wildly funny, and in the end, it was just laced with hope. It was beautiful. Loved it from the minute I read it.
It'll get good, mate. It'll get so good. You'll forget it was even bad.
It's a boy's own adventure in some aspects, but in other aspects, it's a very dark tale, and it deals with very dark issues around domestic violence, around crime, around addiction, around alcoholism.
What the fuck?
I guess the undercurrent of the story is Eli grappling with trauma.
She's almost there, boys. She'll win this.
And it's a story, for me, that's about resilience. It's about the power of love.
Group hug.
He's quite a complicated character. His mother, who is very loving, has a drug addiction. And through the addiction and the cycle of poverty that the family are in, they're forced into a life of crime. And his mother ends up going to jail, and then he's sent to live with his father, who he doesn't really know. He's never had much to do with his father.
I'm just fucked with this dad stuff, you know?
And Eli spends his time really grappling with the question, what makes a good man? Will I be a good man when I'm older?
Was your dad good, Alex? Was he decent? Was he there?
Boy Swallows Universe has an extraordinary amount of challenges in terms of how you bring the story of the novel to the stage. One of those is the presence of magic realist elements throughout, particularly the kind of magic car sequence. And in some ways, our approach to bringing that to the stage is to do what theatre can do best. And do what only our medium can do. And in particular, we've been very keen to find a visual, a physical, and a musical vocabulary for the kind of experiencing and overcoming of trauma.
Don't get that fucking phone up!
I create the world in which the actors inhabit and the characters inhabit on stage. And then I populate it, creating, in collaboration with the actors, the characters through costume and as well as props. We're looking at as many sort of genuine elements and pieces from the period. There's an element of fantasy and theatricality, so we are able to take a little bit of license. But at the same time, there's like a gritty kind of reality to the story too. So we're sort of treading a fine line between like big theatrical kind of exaggerated, heightened moments and the very sort of everydayness of the world that these characters inhabit.
Boy Swallows Universe is a quintessentially Brisbane piece. It is, the first half is set in Darra, the second half is set in Bracken Ridge. It had to be in Brisbane, it had to start in Brisbane, and I think Brisbane are absolutely embracing it.
It was great to see an audience in there. You can even feel the vibe of how positive it is in the space with even just an audience just wanting to, you know, have a little bit of connection and interaction with the process of how this story will be told. It's really heartening to see.
I think on one level, Boy Swallows Universe has to open in Brisbane. It's a really vivid and rich portrait of not just a city, but a time, a really formative time in Brisbane's history. But I think the great art of Boy Swallows Universe is that it manages to access the universal through the specific. Yes, it's a very particular portrait of a time and place, but it's also a kind of much broader and more timeless story about kind of love's capacity to transcend trauma.